Welcome to the part 2 of this series where we will learn how to do the serverless website hosting and we will do it everything from the scratch. So, if you go to the description box of this video, you will find the link of the GitHub folder or the GitHub project which you really need to download if you want to follow this series. If you don't want to download, that's also fine. You can upload your own code. Then you just have to modify some more things apart from the one that I am doing. So what you can do, you can go to the description box link of the GitHub, and it will fetch you directly to this page, and then just download the zip file of it and save it somewhere. I will save it with the name serverless inside my documents, and I will save it. And let's go to the directory, and it is in my documents and serverless. Inside this serverless, I have my serverless.zip, and this is the file, or this is the thing that we are most interested in. So my serverless main contains couple of file. One of them are index.html, which is my main website. The Lambda function code, which is in the Python code, and a README, which does not make any sense because I did not edit it. You can do some editing. One sample event to test my Lambda function code if it is working correctly or not. So we will start with generating couple of resources for my backend. So if you remember the architecture diagram, so the users were serving traffic from a CloudFront distribution to a S3 website, S3, where our website is hosted, then from API gateway to Lambda to DynamoDB table, right, from left to right. Now, in this part 1 of the series, what we will do, we will spin up the DynamoDB table and we will spin up the Lambda function. And then we will test the Lambda function if the Lambda function is reading correctly from the DynamoDB table or not. So this is the part 1 of our demo today. So let's spin up the DynamoDB table first. So in the search box, if you have already configured your AWS login credentials and everything, you should log into the website of Amazon and open this console of Amazon, and where you have to search the services. You can choose whatever region you want to work on. For me, I wanted to work on this North Virginia region, so I have chosen this US West one, US East 1 region. Sorry, and from here I will select DynamoDB. So if you click DynamoDB table, it will open the page to create the DynamoDB table for you, and I will just simply click on create table. So this table is basically uh, our database to host this student data. So the website, yeah, good thing to know that the website will be just a form to fill up for a couple of students, maybe used for school administration or college administration purposes, and to hold the student data in this database. This is a very beginning level of college level or student school level project, which the application form is hosted, or the application form belongs to. But I just wanted to make sure that you understood the concept of the serverless website hosting, not to focus on the application itself, but how to host the application. So this is now whenever we try to create the table, so it will ask you for the table name, and we have to give a table name. So I will give the table name as wishlist. Why this name is given, I will show you later, because in my Lambda function code, I have this name as wishlist, so I don't want to change that. You can give whatever name you want to this table. Just remember that you just have to change the table name then to your Lambda function code as well. So I will give the table name as wishlist, and then the partition name or the primary key as role, because every student must have a roll number and the role should be the primary key here. And then I will not change anything at all here, and I will just create the table. And you see the DynamoDB table is being created, but it takes some time, uh, the DynamoDB table for creation. Okay, so what we will do in the meantime is we will create our Lambda function, which will serve the traffic from API gateway and which will be the kind of front end for my DynamoDB table. So we will create a function, and we will give the function name as student information, um, maybe student information, that's it. And we will select the runtime as Python. You can choose whatever language you want to have your Lambda function, then just convert this Python code, whatever we have or whatever I will give you in this GitHub repository, to the language that you prefer. Then I will not change anything at all, and the permission sections, the default permission is fine, but anyway we have to change the permission because this Lambda will interact with DynamoDB table. But first of all, I will create the function, and also, as you know, function creation takes some time. So meanwhile, we go back to DynamoDB table and explore the table. So we see the wishlist table is created and the partition key is role. And if we click on explore table items, we don't see any table items right now, right? Because there are no items currently in the table. So our this part one of our practical lesson, or today what we will investigate is how can we populate data to this table from our Lambda function. How can we read data from this DynamoDB table from our Lambda function? If we can do that, then our backend is ready. So this we will do in this today to ensure that our backend is ready. Now we go back to our function and we see that our function code is ready. So this is a very basic code that is given by AWS as per this Lambda function code, and we will just ignore it anyway. So we go to configuration first of all, and we change the time out of the Lambda function. Basically, this is 3 seconds. I think 3 seconds is approximately enough, but anyway, I will change it to 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 3 seconds is fine. And we see that the execution role is given as this one. So we will open this execution role and we give this execution role a bit more wide permission to have interaction with DynamoDB table as well. So if we see that currently the Lambda function just have CloudWatch log permission, but we need this Lambda function to interact with DynamoDB table. So that's why we need to give this Lambda function new DynamoDB table permission. So what we can do, we can add a new statement, or you can just edit this one and add there as well. What I want is my DynamoDB service, DynamoDB, and for the sake of easiness, I will choose all action, and for resource, I will add all resources. But for production, if you are doing in production or if you are following my video in production, then do not do this DynamoDB start. Basically, whatever minute permission you need to give that particular permission. Basically, you need to reduce the blast radius. So if you need to insert this DynamoDB table, just give insert DynamoDB table. If you need read DynamoDB table, just give read DynamoDB table in production. But for, as this is a demo video, and I will delete every resource after this video, so DynamoDB table star is fine. Then I will click next, and then I will save the changes. Now if I go back to my Lambda policy and I refresh this one, I would be able to see that my permission policy is upgraded. So my Lambda now can interact with DynamoDB table. So from permission perspective, this is fine. So what we have done, we have created the Lambda function, changed the timeout, and changed the role permission, and I will now save the permission. So my Lambda function, if you go to this permission section, you will be able to see. Let me refresh this one. Sometimes the refresh doesn't work automatically. So now my Lambda function has a permission of DynamoDB. Now let's go to the code. Now if you remember, I said that I already have a sample code for you. If you have downloaded the code from this GitHub repository, and let's open the folder where you have downloaded. So I have downloaded here, and this is my lambda function.py. So this function you need to copy. So I will open it with text editor, and I will just copy it, and then I go back to my browser here and I paste it. So this is my lambda code. Now let's see what this lambda code does. So first of all, there is this declaration of the table name. So as I said, if you want to give a table name different than the one that I have given, then you have to declare the table name here. I'm too lazy to change this table name, so I opted for wishlist. But you should change the table name if you want to. Then we are creating a Boto3 resource of DynamoDB table. If you don't have any idea about Boto3 resource, how it works, please just Google it or get some YouTube videos of how Boto3 works. You will get an idea. So it works is basically I'm creating a client for my DynamoDB table to interact with it. So this is as simple as that. Then the table object is created for my DynamoDB table, DynamoDB resource, and then this is the Lambda function. So Lambda function is I'm creating a couple of headers, and this is required because Lambda function will interact with API gateway, and we need to set up the codes, and we need to send the codes as well, cross origin resource sharing. This is needed. So for that, the headers are required, and then we have a simple print where we are receiving the event, and then we are receiving the HTTP method from the event, and if it is a get method, then with the if block will execute, and it will say yes, okay, I received an get request from the HTTP method. So I will enter here, and it will print that get request received, and from the path parameters it will take the roll number, and the roll number is the primary key, remember, in our DynamoDB table. And from the roll number, it will take the get item for that particular role. See, you see, this is the primary key here, key role, and it will assign the roll number to the primary key, and it will scan the table with particular role, and then it will return as status code 200 and the body along with it. So the item along with it. So this is how this get request works. So get request is basically reading our data for a particular roll number if roll number exists, but for the first time the roll number might not exist, or we may not give the roll number. If the roll number doesn't exist, then also we get a response, and we get all the items from our table. So this is how we get it. So this is how the get request works in this Lambda function. Now, there is also a put request function. So if the HTTP method is put, that means we want to insert a record into DynamoDB table. Then in the else section, it will come and it will take again the role as the key, roll number as the key for this primary as a primary key, and then the whole body along with it, whatever properties or whatever fields were given apart from the roll number, then it will assign to the expression, and then it will update the table with all those information, and the student data will be updated. And if there is any error, the error maker, the exception block will catch it, and if there is no error, then the 200 response along with the results will be sent back to the API gateway. So this is very simple Lambda where we have only two method, get and post, sorry, get and put method were given, and this is very easy one. So if you don't want to use Python code as your backend, you can convert this to TypeScript very easily. But this is what I have done for my Lambda, and now I will deploy this Lambda to production. So my deployment is completed. Now, very interesting. So my Lambda is ready and my DynamoDB table is ready. Now I want to test it. So the testing is something that if my Lambda is correctly reading the data from DynamoDB table, or is my Lambda is able to put the data into my DynamoDB table or not. So this is the test that we will do. For that, I have a sample event. So if you open this sample event with any of the text editor or whatever editor you have, you see there is a get event and there is a put event. So if you copy this get event, just copy it. So I copy this get event and I come back to my browser and create a test event with the name get, and I will paste it here and I will save it, and also I will do this put event. I will copy it entirely and I will create another test event with the name put, and I will replace everything with the put event and I will save it. So here you see two events were created. One is get event and another one is put event. The get event should read all the data from my DynamoDB table. Put event should uh, put one event or put one data to the DynamoDB table. Now, if you run the get event, so you see, let's see what is the output. Did I invoke it properly? There is no output. Let's see why. Okay, now I see the output. I didn't know what, I don't know what happened, but I just refreshed the page and then again send the get request and it gave me an output. So you see the output is status code 200, but the body does not have any content because my DynamoDB table does not have any content. So now let's have this put request configured. So if you see the put request, so let's open the put request, and if you see the put request, you see inside this body there is a roll number mentioned, and apart from that nothing is mentioned. So we hope that it should insert this roll number to the DynamoDB table. Let's see what happens. So if we invoke this put request, now the response is 200 and the body came in student data updated successfully. And if I go back to my DynamoDB table and just refresh this one, we see one data is inserted and the data is roll 9090. I don't have any other information for this particular roll number. Now again, if we go back to this Lambda function and if we get the request, we should be able to get the same content. We see we have only one data in our DynamoDB table, so it returned only one data. Now in the put request, if you edit this one and if you change this body to maybe 9091 and then go above and save it and then trigger the put request again, and we see the output is the data has been updated with the role. Where is the role? 9091. Now if we go back to DynamoDB table, just refresh it, we see two data has been updated, and if we now do the get request as well, we should be able to see both data came in. So we see roll number 9090 came in and roll 9091 also came in. So we can say that our DynamoDB table is working perfectly, and the Lambda is also working perfectly to read the data. So that's all for part 1 of the demo series, where we have configured our backend properly. Our backend is ready. Now we have to serve this backend from our API gateway. So that's it for today. I will be back with the part 2 of the video with you guys in my next video. So stay tuned and get ready for the next updated video. So if you are new to this channel, kindly like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. I will be back with part 2 of this demo, which is another exciting video of how to set up the API gateway in front of Lambda. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. So take care and goodbye.